The galaxy reeled in shock as Earth's obsolete nuclear submarines, relics of a bygone era, decimated the Talarian Empire's advanced armada. It was a twist of fate no one saw coming, least of all High Admiral Uko of the Talarian fleet. The invasion began without warning. Talarian warships pierced Earth's atmosphere, their energy shields effortlessly deflecting the best human defenses. Cities worldwide erupted in chaos as alien ground forces touched down, meeting scattered resistance from military and civilian alike. Admiral Roger Holmes, commander of Earth's remaining naval forces, received the dire news in his underground command center. His tablet buzzed with an urgent message: "Mobilize all assets, including mothballed Cold War subs." Holmes's brow furrowed. Those rust buckets hadn't seen action in decades. World leaders convened in a bunker, their faces grim as they discussed surrender terms. On every screen, High Admiral Uko's grotesque visage loomed large, mandibles clicking as he delivered his ultimatum. "Humans, you have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally or face annihilation." Holmes refused to accept defeat. His mind raced, formulating a plan so desperate it just might work. He barked orders into his comm unit. "Get those subs to the nearest retrofitting stations. I want them equipped with our experimental stealth tech and loaded with modified nukes, the ones designed to penetrate Talarian shields." As his orders echoed through secure channels, Holmes coordinated with the remnants of Earth's space assets. Intelligence trickled in, revealing a critical flaw in the Talarian ship's propulsion systems when operating within planetary atmospheres. Time ticked away. In shipyards around the globe, crews worked feverishly to prepare the submarines. Stealth systems were hastily installed, untested and unreliable. Nuclear payloads were modified, their potency increased tenfold. 23 hours into the ultimatum, Holmes gave the order. Silent as ghosts, the submarines slipped beneath the waves, their presence undetected by Talarian sensors. They positioned themselves under the alien ships hovering above Earth's oceans, ready to strike. Holmes stood in the command center, sweat beading on his forehead. He took a deep breath and pressed the launch button. Modified warheads erupted from the depths, streaking towards their targets with deadly precision. The explosions were cataclysmic. Talarian ships, caught completely off guard, erupted in flames. Their vaunted shields, useless against this unconventional attack, offered no protection. A chain reaction spread through the fleet, crippling ship after ship. High Admiral Uko, his mandibles quivering in disbelief, watched his invasion crumble. "Retreat!" he screeched, his voice breaking. "Back to orbit. Regroup!" As the Talarian forces fled, leaving behind the wreckage of their once mighty armada, a wave of hope swept across Earth. Resistance fighters emerged from hiding, emboldened by the unexpected victory. The galaxy buzzed with the news. Humanity, using outdated technology, had repelled one of the most advanced civilizations in the universe. Admiral Holmes and his submarine crews were hailed as heroes. Their innovative tactics became legendary, studied and admired by military strategists across the cosmos. The Talarian Empire, once thought invincible, faced internal strife and external ridicule for their humiliating defeat. As dawn broke over a world forever changed, humanity stood tall, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might throw at them next. The message was clear: underestimate Earth at your peril. The cheers of victory faded as the gravity of Earth's situation sank in. Admiral Roger Holmes stood at the helm of a battered planet, acutely aware that the Talarian threat was a long way to go. His innovative use of nuclear submarines had bought humanity a reprieve, but he knew it was only the beginning. World leaders convened in a fortified bunker beneath the Swiss Alps, their faces etched with a mix of hope and apprehension. Holmes presented his findings, his voice steady as he outlined the challenges ahead. "The Talarians will be back," he said, pointing to a holographic display of the solar system. "We need to prepare, and we need to do it fast." The room erupted in a flurry of discussion. After hours of debate, a consensus emerged. Earth needed a unified defense strategy, with Holmes at its head. The newly appointed Supreme Commander of Earth's Combined Defense Forces wasted no time in implementing his plans. Across the globe, mothballed military installations hummed back to life. In the depths of the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans, crews worked tirelessly to establish a network of undersea bases. These aquatic fortresses became the new home for Earth's submarine fleet, now recognized as humanity's most formidable weapon against alien invasion. Dr. Eliza Reed, a brilliant physicist with wild red hair and a fierce tenacity, led a team of scientists in reverse engineering captured Talarian technology. In a repurposed CERN facility, she pored over alien circuitry and energy matrices. "It's like nothing we've ever seen," she muttered, adjusting her glasses as she examined a Talarian shield generator. "But if we can crack this, we might have a chance." Meanwhile, in the outer reaches of the solar system, the Talarian Empire licked its wounds. High Admiral Uko, once the face of the invasion, now sat in a cold, dark cell aboard the Talarian flagship. Emperor Zaxnar, a towering figure with iridescent scales and piercing yellow eyes, addressed his war council. "Uko's failure is unacceptable," Zaxnar hissed, his forked tongue flicking in agitation. "I will personally oversee the subjugation of these humans. Prepare the construction of a battle station around the fourth planet. We will crush them from there." Back on Earth, Holmes's early warning system crackled to life. In a repurposed Cold War bunker in Cheyenne Mountain, technicians monitored an array of screens showing unusual activity around Mars. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out, "you need to see this." Holmes leaned in, his eyes narrowing as he studied the data. "They're building something big," he murmured. "We need eyes on that operation." In a secret facility nestled in the Gobi Desert, Captain Jake Martinez and his team of Navy SEALs underwent rigorous training. They learned to move in low-gravity environments, operate Talarian equipment, and survive in the harsh Martian atmosphere. "Remember," Martinez barked at his team as they ran drills in a simulated Talarian ship, "we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for the entire human race." As Martinez and his team prepared for their perilous mission, Dr. Reed made a breakthrough in her lab. She burst into Holmes's office, her eyes wild with excitement. "We've done it," she exclaimed, thrusting a tablet into his hands. "We've found a way to enhance our nuclear yields using principles from their energy weapons. It's not just a counter to their shields anymore. It's a game changer." Holmes studied the data, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Get this into production immediately," he ordered. "And Dr. Reed? Excellent work." The first test of Earth's new defenses came sooner than expected. Talarian scout ships probed Earth's orbital perimeter, testing for weaknesses. But Holmes's early warning system detected them long before they entered weapons range. In the Global Defense Command Center, Holmes watched as Earth's forces engaged the Talarian scouts. Enhanced missiles streaked through space, their warheads punching through alien shields with unprecedented effectiveness. "They're retreating," an analyst called out, disbelief evident in his voice. Holmes nodded grimly. "They'll be back," he said, "and in greater numbers. But now we know our new tech works." As Earth celebrated this small victory, Captain Martinez and his team prepared for launch. In the pre-dawn darkness of the Gobi Desert, they boarded their modified Talarian scout ship. The vessel, a hybrid of human and alien technology, rose silently into the night sky. Their journey to Mars was fraught with danger. As they approached the red planet, a Talarian patrol picked up their signal. Martinez's hands flew over the controls, executing a series of maneuvers that sent the ship tumbling through space in ways the Talarian sensors couldn't predict. "Hold on!" he shouted as the ship spun and rolled. His team, strapped into their seats, gritted their teeth against the G-forces. Finally, the alarms fell silent. They had slipped past the outer defenses. As Martinez's team began their descent to Mars, Admiral Holmes received alarming news. Long-range sensors detected a massive buildup of Talarian forces beyond Jupiter's orbit. "Sir," a junior officer reported, her voice tense, "analysis suggests they're preparing for a full-scale assault. Estimated time of arrival, 3 weeks." Holmes's teeth gritted. He initiated Operation Trident, dispersing the submarine fleet across Earth's oceans. Simultaneously, he ordered the mass production of Dr. Reed's enhanced warheads. In factories around the world, production lines ran day and night. The hum of machinery and the smell of hot metal filled the air as humanity raced against time. On Mars, Martinez and his team touched down in a cloud of red dust. As they exited their ship, the looming bulk of the Talarian battle station filled the horizon. Martinez checked his team's equipment one last time. "Remember your training," he said, his voice low and steady. "We get in, we get the intel, we get out. The fate of Earth depends on us." As the infiltration team began their treacherous journey across the Martian landscape, Holmes stood in the newly constructed Global Defense Command Center. The massive view screen before him showed the first wave of Talarian ships beginning their approach from the outer solar system. Holmes took a deep breath, his mind racing through scenarios and strategies. The greatest battle in Earth's history was about to begin, and he knew that every decision he made from this point on would shape the future of humanity. Humanity. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders as he surveyed the bustling command center. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Captain Martinez's team," Lieutenant Sarah Chen reported, her fingers flying over her keyboard. Holmes strode to her station, leaning in to examine the incoming data. "What's their status?" "They've successfully landed on Mars and are approaching the Talarian battle station," Chen replied, her voice tense with concern. Holmes nodded, his teeth gritted. "Keep me updated on their progress. We need that intel." As Martinez and his team made their way across the rust-colored Martian landscape, the looming bulk of the Talarian battle station grew ever larger. The squad moved with practiced efficiency, their modified suits allowing them to traverse the treacherous terrain with ease. "Structure dead ahead," Martinez whispered into his comm. "Prepare for infiltration." The team reached a maintenance hatch, cleverly disguised against the station's hull. Sergeant Alex Reeves, the team's tech specialist, got to work bypassing the security systems. After a few tense moments, the hatch slid open with a soft hiss. "We're in," Martinez reported back to Earth, commencing data retrieval operation. The interior of the station was a maze of twisting corridors and pulsing energy conduits. Martinez led his team through the labyrinth, relying on memorized schematics and quick thinking to avoid Talarian patrols. "This place is a lot bigger than we thought," Corporal Jackson muttered as they ducked into a narrow maintenance tunnel to avoid a passing group of Talarian engineers. Martinez held up a hand for silence, his enhanced hearing picking up the click-clack of Talarian mandibles in the distance. Once the coast was clear, he motioned for the team to continue. They finally reached the central computer hub, a cavernous room filled with holographic displays and humming servers. Reeves immediately set to work, connecting their data extraction device to the alien systems. "Download initiated," Reeves reported. "Estimated time to completion, 10 minutes. Martinez positioned his team at key points around the room, ready to defend against any intrusion. The minutes ticked by agonizingly slowly as the progress bar on Reeves's device inched forward. Back on Earth, Admiral Holmes coordinated the global defense efforts. In the newly constructed Global Defense Command Center, he oversaw the implementation of Operation Trident. "I want those submarines dispersed and ready to launch at a moment's notice," Holmes ordered, his voice carrying across the command floor. "And get me an update on the production of Dr. Reed's enhanced warheads." Dr. Eliza Reed herself appeared on a nearby screen, her red hair disheveled and dark circles under her eyes. "Production is at maximum capacity, Admiral. We're churning out warheads as fast as we can, but it's a race against time." Holmes nodded grimly. "Keep it up, Doctor. Your work might just save us all." As Earth prepared for the impending invasion, the first wave of Talarian ships entered the inner solar system. The early warning system lit up like a Christmas tree, alarms blaring throughout the command center. "Multiple contacts detected beyond the orbit of Mars," an analyst called out. "Talarian signatures confirmed." Holmes's mind raced as he assessed the situation. "Initiate civilian evacuation protocols for all coastal cities," he ordered, "and get me a direct line to every major military installation worldwide." As the global alert went out, Martinez and his team on Mars found themselves in a precarious situation. The data download was complete, but their escape route was compromised. Intruder alert! Sector 7G! The harsh tones of the Talarian language echoed through the station's corridors. Time to go! Martinez barked, leading his team out of the computer hub. They sprinted through the winding passageways, the sound of pursuing Talarian security forces growing louder behind them. Rounding a corner, they encountered a squad of Talarian guards. Without hesitation, Martinez opened fire with his modified pulse rifle, the energy bolts tearing through the alien's armor. Reeves, get that intel transmitted back to Earth, Martinez shouted as he provided covering fire. Reeves tapped frantically at his wrist computer, initiating the data upload. Transmission in progress, he reported, his voice strained. The firefight intensified as more Talarian forces converged on their position. Martinez's team fought valiantly, their advanced combat training and stolen Talarian weapons giving them an edge. But the sheer number of enemies was overwhelming. A stray energy blast caught Reeves in the side, sending him sprawling. Sergeant down, Corporal Jackson yelled, dragging Reeves behind cover. Martinez made a split-second decision. Jackson, Lee, get Reeves to the extraction point. I'll hold them off and rendezvous when I can. As the rest of the team retreated with the wounded Reeves, Martinez unleashed a barrage of covering fire. He ducked and weaved through the corridors, using his knowledge of Talarian tactics to stay one step ahead of his pursuers. On Earth, the transmitted data from Martinez's team arrived just as the Talarian fleet entered striking distance. Holmes pored over the intelligence, his eyes widening as he recognized a crucial weakness in the alien ships. Their atmospheric propulsion systems, he muttered. It's the same vulnerability we exploited before. Get me Admiral Yamamoto of the Pacific Submarine Fleet immediately. As Holmes formulated a daring counterattack strategy, Emperor Zaxnar's flagship led the charge towards Earth. The massive Talarian vessels entered the atmosphere, their energy weapons charging as they prepared to rain destruction upon the planet below. Earth's orbital defense platforms, hastily retrofitted with reverse-engineered Talarian shield technology, sprang to life. They absorbed the initial barrage from the alien fleet, buying precious time for the ground forces to mobilize. Holmes's voice rang out across global communication channels. All submarine captains, this is Admiral Holmes. Initiate Operation Trident. I repeat, initiate Operation Trident. Across the world's oceans, nuclear submarines surfaced just long enough to launch their payload of enhanced warheads. The missiles streaked into the sky, their advanced guidance systems locked onto the Talarian ships. The first impacts were devastating. The enhanced yield of Dr. Reed's warheads overwhelmed the Talarian shields, causing catastrophic damage to their propulsion systems. Ship after ship began to falter, their sleek forms marred by explosions and venting atmosphere. Emperor Zaxnar, watching from his flagship as his invasion force crumbled, let out a roar of fury. Impossible! How can these primitive humans possess such weapons? The Emperor's rage turned to fear as he realized the tide of battle had turned against him. All ships, regroup. We must withdraw and reassess. But for many Talarian vessels, it was too late. Their damaged propulsion systems left them vulnerable to Earth's continued assault. Orbital defense platforms concentrated their fire on the crippled ships, while ground-based missile batteries targeted those attempting to flee. As the Talarian fleet fell into disarray, Holmes allowed himself a small smile. But he knew the fight was nowhere near the end. Maintain pressure on their retreating forces, he ordered, and someone get me an update on Martinez's team. We need to know what's happening on that Mars station. On Mars, Captain Martinez found himself deep in enemy territory, carrying the wounded Sergeant Reeves on his shoulders. The sounds of Talarian search parties echoed through the station's corridors as Martinez sought a secure location to hole up and continue gathering intelligence. Stay with me, Reeves, Martinez grunted as he maneuvered through a narrow maintenance shaft. We're not done yet. Earth is counting on us. As humanity celebrated its initial victory against the Talarian invasion, the next phase of the war was already taking shape. Emperor Zaxnar, his fleet in tatters, retreated to the Mars battle station, vowing revenge. And somewhere in the vast Talarian complex, Captain Martinez and Sergeant Reeves fought for survival, their mission far from complete. The future of Earth hung in the balance, with both sides preparing for the next decisive confrontation. The decisive battle drew closer. Admiral Holmes stood at the center of the Global Defense Command Center, his eyes fixed on the massive holographic display showing Earth and its surrounding space. Red markers indicated the regrouping Talarian forces around Mars, while blue icons represented Earth's defenses. "Admiral," Lieutenant Chen called out, "we've completed the implementation of the new early warning network." Holmes nodded, his expression grim. "Excellent. Let's put it to the test. Run a full system diagnostic." As technicians worked to verify the integrated network of terrestrial and orbital sensors, Holmes turned his attention to the production reports scrolling across a nearby screen. Dr. Reed's enhanced nuclear warheads were being churned out at an unprecedented rate, with factories worldwide operating around the clock. "Sir," an aide approached, holding a secure tablet, "we've received an update from Captain Martinez on Mars." Holmes took the tablet, his eyes widening as he read the report. "He's infiltrated a Talarian communications center. This is exactly the break we needed." Meanwhile, on the Red Planet, Martinez crouched in the dimly lit Talarian comm center, his fingers flying over the alien controls. Beside him, Sergeant Reeves lay propped against a console, his breathing labored but steady. "How are you holding up, Reeves?" Martinez asked, his eyes never leaving the holographic display before him. Reeves managed a weak smile. "Still breathing, sir. What have you found?" "Zaxnar's battle plans," Martinez replied, his voice tense with excitement. "He's throwing everything he has at us. Every ship, every soldier. It's all or nothing." As Martinez worked to transmit the vital intelligence back to Earth, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Talarian voices echoed through the corridors, growing closer by the second. "Time to move," Martinez grunted, hoisting Reeves onto his shoulder. They barely made it out of the comm center before a group of Talarian guards rounded the corner, mandibles clicking in agitation. Back on Earth, the command center erupted into a flurry of activity as Martinez's intelligence came through. Holmes studied the data, his mind already formulating countermeasures. "Get me a direct line to every submarine captain," he ordered. "We need to adjust our strategy." Before Holmes could fully process the new information, another communication came through, this one from an unexpected source. "Admiral," Lieutenant Chen called out, her voice filled with confusion. "We're receiving a transmission from, well, sir, they're calling themselves the Arcturians." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike anything Holmes had ever seen. The Arcturian ambassador, Kylena, spoke in a melodious voice that seemed to resonate directly in their minds. "People of Earth," Kylena began, "we have observed your conflict with the Talarians. Your resourcefulness in the face of overwhelming odds has impressed us. We offer our advanced defensive technology to aid in your struggle." A wave of murmurs swept through the command center. Holmes raised a hand for silence, his mind racing with the implications of this offer. "Ambassador Kylena," he addressed the alien being, "we are grateful for your offer. However, I must ask, why help us now?" Kylena's expression shifted in a way Holmes couldn't quite interpret. "Balance must be maintained, Admiral. The Talarians' aggression threatens more than just your world. But remember, our technology is for defense only. It must not be used to conquer or destroy." Within hours, world leaders convened in an emergency virtual summit. Debates raged as they weighed the potential risks and benefits of accepting alien assistance. In the end, facing the looming Talarian threat, they voted to accept the Arcturian offer. Days passed in a blur of activity. Arcturian engineers arrived on Earth, their otherworldly forms causing a stir wherever they went. They set to work immediately, upgrading key defense installations with shields and weapon systems beyond human understanding. As Earth prepared, Emperor Zaxnar rallied his forces on Mars. The invasion fleet grew larger by the hour, ships arriving from the farthest reaches of the Talarian Empire. "The humans have resisted us for too long," Zaxnar growled to his assembled war council. "This time, we will crush them utterly." The Emperor outlined his three-pronged attack strategy: a main fleet to engage Earth's defenses, a secondary force to target military installations, and a specialized unit to neutralize the troublesome submarine threat. What Zaxnar didn't know was that his entire plan had been compromised. Captain Martinez, still hidden within the Mars battle station, intercepted the details and immediately set about transmitting them to Earth. The transmission didn't go unnoticed. Talarian security systems pinged, alerting guards to the unauthorized communication. Martinez cursed under his breath. "Showtime, Reeves," he said, helping the wounded sergeant to his feet. "Think you can manage a gun?" Reeves nodded grimly, checking the charge on his stolen Talarian weapon. "Let's give 'em hell, Captain." They burst out of their hiding place, catching the first group of Talarian guards by surprise. Energy bolts sizzled through the air as Martinez and Reeves fought their way through the twisting corridors of the battle station. On Earth, Admiral Holmes received Martinez's intelligence just as the Arcturian upgrades were being completed. He immediately set about adjusting Earth's defense strategy. "Equip every submarine with Arcturian cloaking devices," he ordered, "and initiate Operation Trojan Horse. Let's give the Talarians a taste of their own medicine." As the Talarian Armada approached Earth, Holmes stood ready in the command center. The planet's new defense grid hummed to life, Arcturian shields enveloping major cities and military installations. The first wave of Talarian ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, weapons charged and ready to rain destruction upon Earth. Instead, they were met with a sight that made even the hardened Talarian warriors pause. Earth's orbital platforms, now enhanced with Arcturian technology, erupted with a barrage of energy weapons that tore through the Talarian fleet's front lines. Caught completely off guard, the alien ships scrambled to raise shields and return fire. Emperor Zaxnar, watching from his flagship, roared in frustration. "Impossible! How have they acquired such technology?" He quickly ordered a change in tactics, focusing fire on what appeared to be weak points in Earth's defenses. But these weak points were part of Holmes's carefully laid trap. As the Talarian ships concentrated their attack, they left themselves vulnerable to the suddenly appearing Earth submarine fleet. Enhanced nuclear warheads streaked from the ocean's depths, their advanced guidance systems finding their marks with deadly precision. Talarian ships exploded in brilliant flashes, their debris raining down into Earth's atmosphere. The space above Earth became a chaotic battlefield, with human and Talarian ships locked in a desperate struggle. But even as the main fleet engaged, Talarian dropships managed to breach the atmosphere, deploying ground forces in key locations around the globe. In cities and military bases worldwide, human defenders aided by civilian resistance fighters engaged the Talarian ground forces. The aliens found themselves facing not just military personnel, but ordinary citizens armed with improvised weapons and an unyielding tenacity to protect their homes. As the battle raged on Earth and in space, a small Talarian scout ship broke away from the Mars battle station, streaking towards the blue planet. Inside, Captain Martinez piloted the stolen vessel, while Sergeant Reeves manned the weapon systems. "You sure about this, Captain?" Reeves asked, eyeing the rapidly approaching Talarian fleet. Martinez grinned, despite the tension evident in his voice. "No, but it beats staying on that station. Speaking of which..." He pressed a button on the control panel, and behind them, the Mars battle station erupted in a series of massive explosions. The sabotage Martinez had enacted before their escape tore through the station's main reactor, crippling a significant portion of the Talarian reserve forces. Admiral Holmes received word of the Mars station's destruction just as the battle reached its peak intensity. He used this news to rally Earth's defenders, urging them to press their advantage against the now disorganized Talarian fleet. Emperor Zaxnar found his forces caught in a deadly vice. Earth's reinforced defenses blocked any hope of a decisive strike, while the submarine fleet continued to wreak havoc on his ship's vulnerable propulsion systems. As Zaxnar prepared to order a full retreat, Holmes allowed himself a moment of cautious optimism. The immediate threat was subsiding, but he knew this was just the beginning. The Talarians still controlled a vast empire, and Earth would need to prepare for future conflicts. Looking out at the battle-scarred Earth, Holmes began to consider the next steps. They would need to leverage this victory, strengthen Earth's position in the galaxy, and perhaps even forge new alliances with other alien races. But for now, the battle raged on. Earth's defenders, bolstered by their initial success and armed with Arcturian technology, pressed their advantage against the faltering Talarian forces. The fate of humanity hung in the balance as the conflict approached its climactic moments. Conclusion. The battle-scarred Earth emerged victorious, but Admiral Holmes knew the war was a long way to go. As the last Talarian ships retreated, Holmes turned to Lieutenant Chen. "Begin recovery operations immediately. I want every piece of alien tech cataloged and analyzed." Within hours, teams of scientists and engineers descended upon crash sites across the globe. Dr. Eliza Reed, her lab coat singed from a close call with a Talarian energy weapon, supervised the efforts at a major impact site outside of Tokyo. "Careful with that propulsion core," she shouted to a group of technicians. "We need it intact if we're going to reverse engineer their FTL capabilities." Meanwhile, a battered Talarian scout ship limped into Earth's atmosphere, narrowly avoiding being shot down by the planet's still active defenses. Captain Jake Martinez's voice crackled over the comms. "Earth Defense, this is Captain Martinez requesting emergency landing clearance. Sergeant Reeves needs immediate medical attention." As Martinez guided the alien craft to a secure landing zone, Admiral Holmes watched from the command center. He turned to his aide. "Prepare a full debrief. I want to know everything they learned on that Mars station." Days later, Martinez stood before a panel of military and scientific experts, his uniform crisp despite the dark circles under his eyes. He gestured to a holographic display of the Talarian battle station. "Their command structure is highly centralized," he explained. "Take out their leadership, and the rest fall into disarray. That's how we managed to turn the tide." Admiral Holmes nodded, his mind already formulating new strategies. "Excellent work, Captain. Or should I say, Major Martinez." Martinez blinked in surprise as Holmes continued. "I'm putting you in charge of a new Special Forces unit. Your mission, master Talarian combat techniques and weaponry. We need to be ready for their inevitable return." As Earth's military apparatus retooled itself for interstellar warfare, Holmes faced a new challenge, unifying the planet's defenses. He stood before the United Nations Security Council, his voice firm and resolute. "The Talarian threat isn't over," he declared. "We must form an Earth defense coalition. United, we stand a chance. Divided, we'll fall." Debates raged for days. Representatives argued over command structures, resource allocation, and sovereignty concerns. Finally, as reports of Talarian activity at the edge of the solar system trickled in, the Council reached a consensus. "We're with you, Admiral," the Secretary General announced. "Earth stands as one." With the EDC established, construction began on a network of orbital defense platforms. Arcturian engineers worked alongside human technicians, their tentacle-like appendages manipulating tools with uncanny precision. Kylna, the Arcturian ambassador, approached Holmes as he inspected the first completed platform. "Your progress is impressive, Admiral, but there's something you should know about the wider galactic community." Holmes listened intently as Kylena explained the complex political landscape beyond Earth's solar system. "Your victory has shifted the balance of power," she concluded. "There are potential allies out there, waiting to be found." Seizing the opportunity, Holmes dispatched diplomatic missions to nearby star systems. The newly christened EDS Horizon, a sleek vessel combining human ingenuity with Arcturian technology, carried Earth's envoys into the unknown. Ambassador Sarah Chen, no relation to the lieutenant, led the mission to the Zin Collective. As their ship dropped out of FTL near the Zin homeworld, she gasped at the sight of massive orbital structures that dwarfed anything humanity had built. "Open a channel," she commanded. "Let's hope they're in a talking mood." Back on Earth, Dr. Reed made a breakthrough that would change the course of planetary defense. She burst into Holmes's office, her eyes wild with excitement. "We've done it, Admiral. We've adapted the Talarian shield technology for global use. Give me 6 months and I can have the entire planet protected from orbital bombardment. Holmes immediately approved the project, and construction began on massive shield generators at strategic points around the globe. The EDC poured resources into the endeavor, recognizing its potential to save billions of lives. As Earth fortified its defenses, long-range sensors picked up alarming activity at the outer edges of the solar system. Lieutenant Chen's voice was tense as she reported to Holmes. "Sir, we're detecting a massive energy signature. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Holmes studied the sensor readings, his jaw clenching. The Talarian fleet gathering beyond Pluto's orbit was exponentially larger than the force they had previously defeated. "They're not just coming for revenge," he muttered. "This is a full-scale invasion." In response, Holmes accelerated the EDC's military buildup. He authorized the mass production of a new class of vessel, the Star Submarine. These ships, based on Earth's nuclear submarines, but enhanced with Arcturian cloaking technology and capable of spaceflight, would form the backbone of humanity's interstellar navy. Major Martinez, meanwhile, pushed his new Special Forces unit to their limits. In a state-of-the-art training facility, soldiers from every nation on Earth learned to fight in zero gravity, operate Talarian weapons, and pilot alien spacecraft. "Again!" Martinez barked as his team fumbled with a captured Talarian energy rifle. "When the real fight comes, you won't get a second chance." As the plot point concludes, Admiral Holmes stood in the EDC's new orbital command center, watching as the first fleet of Star submarines deployed to the outer solar system. Earth's freshly minted diplomatic corps reported promising negotiations with the Zin Collective and Boral Confederation. But Holmes's eyes were fixed on the long-range sensor display where the massive Talarian Armada loomed. Earth had evolved from a besieged planet to a fledgling interstellar power in a matter of months. But would it be enough? The Admiral's comm unit chimed. It was Ambassador Chen, reporting from the Zin homeworld. "Sir," she said, her voice crackling with static, "we have a treaty. The Zin are with us." Holmes allowed himself a small smile. The pieces were falling into place. Now they just needed time to prepare for the coming storm. Admiral Holmes stood on the bridge of the ESS Trident, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the massive Talarian fleet gathered at the edge of the solar system. The tension in the air was palpable as the crew waited for his command. "All ships, prepare for FTL jump," Holmes ordered, his voice calm but resolute. "Engage cloaking devices and arm warheads. Operation Sword of Damocles is a go." The Star submarine fleet shimmered and vanished from view as their Arcturian cloaking technology activated. With a flash of energy, they leapt into faster-than-light travel, leaving the safety of Earth's orbit behind. As the fleet raced towards Talarian space, Major Jake Martinez and his team boarded their captured Talarian scout ship. The vessel's alien contours felt strange under their boots as they strapped themselves into the acceleration couches. "Remember your training," Martinez said, his eyes scanning the faces of his elite soldiers. "We're about to make history, the first humans to set foot in the Kuiper Belt." The scout ship detached from its docking bay and accelerated towards the distant reaches of the solar system. Its Talarian IFF transponder broadcasted false credentials, allowing them to slip past the enemy's outer perimeter undetected. Back on Earth, Dr. Eliza Reed wiped sweat from her brow as she made final adjustments to the Global Shield Network's control systems. Banks of computers hummed around her, processing vast amounts of data. "Initiating full power-up sequence," she announced to her team. "Cross your fingers, everyone." With the press of a button, the massive generators scattered across the planet roared to life. Energy surged through conduits and relays, coalescing into a shimmering, translucent dome that enveloped the entire planet. Reed watched the readings with suspenseful pause. "Power output stable. Field integrity at 100%. We did it." As Earth's new defensive shield sprang to life, EDC rapid response teams took up their positions around the globe. In a secret underground base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Captain Sarah Chen briefed her unit. Our job is simple, she said, gesturing to the array of reverse-engineered Talarian weapons before them. If anything gets through that shield, we're the last line of defense. Let's make sure we don't need to be. Light years away, Admiral Holmes's fleet dropped out of FTL near the dwarf planet Eris. The bridge of the ESS Trident was bathed in the eerie blue glow of the cloaking field. Talarian patrol detected, reported Lieutenant Wong, his fingers dancing over the sensor controls. 3 frigates and a destroyer. They haven't spotted us. Holmes leaned forward, a predatory glint in his eye. Perfect. All ships, prepare to engage. Let's show them what these boats can do. The Star submarines decloaked and struck with devastating precision. Enhanced nuclear warheads streaked across the void, finding their marks with unerring accuracy. The Talarian ships, caught completely off guard, barely had time to raise their shields before they were engulfed in nuclear fire. Direct hits on all targets, Wong announced. Enemy ships neutralized. No damage to our fleet. Holmes allowed himself a tight smile. Excellent. Maintain combat readiness and set course for the next target. The Talarians are about to learn that they're not the biggest fish in this pond anymore. Meanwhile, Major Martinez's team had reached the Talarian outpost in the Kuiper Belt. Using their captured scout ship, they docked without incident. As the airlock cycled, Martinez addressed his team one last time. Remember, we're here to take out their long-range comms. In and out, quick and quiet. Use your zero-G training and watch each other's backs. They emerged into the alien corridor, their magnetic boots allowing them to move swiftly in the low gravity. The first Talarian security team they encountered was dispatched with ruthless efficiency, felled by silent, armor-piercing rounds before they could raise the alarm. As they fought their way deeper into the outpost, Martinez couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. His team moved like ghosts, their months of grueling training paying off in spades. They reached the central communication hub, a cavernous room filled with alien technology. As his team set up explosive charges, Martinez accessed a nearby terminal, downloading critical intelligence on Talarian fleet movements. "Charges set," whispered Corporal Reyes. "Ready to blow this popsicle stand, sir?" Martinez nodded, and they began their retreat. As they raced back to their ship, the charges detonated behind them, sending shockwaves through the outpost structure. Alarms blared, but by the time the Talarians realized what had happened, the human strike team was already gone, leaving only destruction in their wake. On Earth, the Arcturian ambassador Kilina met with the EDC's top brass. Her tentacle-like appendages waved in agitation as she spoke. "The Talarian fleet relies heavily on centralized command," she explained, manipulating a holographic display of enemy ship formations. "Their flagship acts as a nexus for all strategic decisions. Disable it, and you'll throw their entire force into disarray." General Zhao nodded, his eyes narrowing as he studied the display. "This could be the key to victory. We need to get this information to Admiral Holmes immediately." As the EDC digested this crucial intelligence, the Zin Collective's advanced scout ships took up positions throughout the solar system. Their sensors, far more sophisticated than anything humanity possessed, provided a real-time picture of Talarian fleet movements. Admiral Holmes received the data stream aboard the ESS Trident, his tactical options expanding exponentially with each new piece of information. "This changes everything," he muttered, already formulating a new strategy. Aboard the Talarian flagship, Emperor Zaxnar raged at his subordinates. "How is this possible?" he roared, his scaled skin flushing dark with anger. "They were primitive savages mere months ago. Find out how they're striking our bases and stop them." But even as the Talarian High Command scrambled to respond to the human threat, more problems arose. Reports flooded in from the fringes of the Empire. Subjugated races rising up, inspired by Earth's resistance. The once mighty Talarian war machine found itself suddenly beset on all sides. As Admiral Holmes's fleet pressed deeper into enemy territory, striking supply convoys and outlying bases with impunity, Dr. Reed made her breakthrough on Earth. She burst into the EDC's main research facility, clutching a data pad. "I've done it!" she exclaimed, her eyes wild with excitement. A way to disrupt their shields. We can punch through their defenses like they're not even there. Within hours, production lines were retooled to manufacture the new shield breaker devices. As the first units rolled off the assembly line, technicians began retrofitting Earth's orbital platforms and the Star submarines still in dock. Admiral Holmes received word of this development as his fleet regrouped after another successful raid. He stared out at the star-filled void, a mix of hope and trepidation filling his chest. The pieces were falling into place, but the real test was yet to come. The massive Talarian Armada loomed ahead, their numbers still overwhelming despite the humans' guerrilla tactics. Holmes knew that the coming battle would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the balance of power in the galaxy for generations to come. As he prepared to address his fleet, Holmes reflected on how far humanity had come in such a short time. From a species on the brink of annihilation to a force that had the mighty Talarian Empire on the back foot. But would it be enough? The Admiral pushed the thought aside. There was no time for doubt now. He opened a channel to his fleet, ready to deliver the speech that would launch them into the most important battle in human history. History. As Admiral Holmes finished his address, a chorus of cheers erupted across the comm channels. The Star submarine fleet, primed and ready, waited with suspenseful pause for the order to engage. "All ships, execute Operation Shattered Stars," Holmes commanded, his voice steady and resolute. The fleet shimmered out of existence as Arcturian cloaking devices activated. Moments later, they reappeared at predetermined positions throughout the solar system, a deadly web waiting to ensnare its prey. The Talarian Armada entered the system with crushing force, thousands of ships blotting out the stars as they advanced. Their formation was tight, designed to overwhelm any resistance through sheer numbers. But Admiral Holmes had other plans. "Alpha Squadron, engage," he ordered. A group of Star submarines decloaked near Jupiter, unleashing a barrage of enhanced nuclear warheads at the Talarian supply ships trailing the main force. The explosions rippled through space, vaporizing the lightly defended vessels and sending shockwaves through the enemy ranks. Before the Talarians could respond, the submarines vanished again, only to reappear elsewhere and strike anew. Chaos spread through the invading fleet as commanders struggled to track the elusive attackers. On the bridge of the ESS Trident, Lieutenant Wong's fingers danced over his console. "Sir, Talarian formation is breaking down. They're diverting ships to protect their supply lines." Holmes nodded, a grim smile on his face. "Good. Now for Phase 2. All ships, execute lateral strike pattern Delta." Across the solar system, Star submarines emerged from cloak in coordinated attacks. They targeted escort vessels and smaller capital ships, exploiting gaps in the Talarian defenses. Enhanced nuclear warheads slammed into enemy shields, overloading them in brilliant flashes of light. As the battle raged in space, Earth itself prepared for the coming onslaught. Dr. Eliza Reed stood in the control center of the Global Shield Network, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of the approaching Talarian vanguard. "Activating shield breakers," she announced, her voice tense but controlled. Orbital platforms hummed to life, emitting precisely calibrated energy pulses. As the first wave of Talarian ships entered range, their shields flickered and failed. Earth's conventional weapons opened fire, tearing into the exposed hulls with devastating effect. Reed watched the data stream across her screens, a spark of excitement in her eyes. "It's working even better than we hoped," she murmured, already thinking of ways to improve the technology further. In the void between Mars and Earth, Major Jake Martinez and his team drifted silently in their captured Talarian shuttle. They watched as a massive Talarian command ship passed by, its shield shimmering with power. "That's our target," Martinez whispered into his comm. "Prep for boarding action." The shuttle's engines flared to life, matching velocity with the larger vessel. With practiced precision, they latched onto an exterior airlock and began cutting their way inside. Alarms blared as the team stormed into the ship's corridors. Talarian crew members, caught off guard by the human infiltrators, fell quickly to precise bursts of weapons fire. "Move fast, people!" Martinez urged as they fought their way towards the ship's reactor core. "We don't have much time before they figure out what we're up to." Back on the ESS Trident, Admiral Holmes received a priority transmission from Earth. Dr. Reed's face appeared on the main view screen, her expression a mix of excitement and urgency. "Admiral, we've made a breakthrough," she reported. "We've identified a pattern in the Talarian shield modulations. I'm sending you the data now. It should allow you to increase shield breaker effectiveness by 300%. Holmes's eyes widened as he processed the implications. "Outstanding work, Doctor. We'll implement these upgrades immediately." As the new data was distributed throughout the human fleet, the tide of battle began to turn. Star submarines struck with even greater precision, their weapons cutting through Talarian defenses with minimal resistance. The Talarian advance faltered, their once unstoppable Armada now struggling to maintain cohesion. It was at this moment that a new player entered the fray. A massive fleet of sleek, crystalline ships appeared at the edge of the system. The Zin Collective had arrived, honoring their alliance with Earth in spectacular fashion. Admiral Holmes allowed himself a moment of relief before refocusing on the battle at hand. "All ships, coordinate fire with our Zin allies. Target the enemy's rear flank." The combined human and Zin assault tore into the Talarian formation, shredding ships and scattering debris across the solar system. The invaders, caught between two formidable forces, began to lose ground. In the chaos of battle, Holmes spotted an opportunity. The Talarian flagship, a behemoth of a vessel, had left itself exposed in an attempt to rally its forces. "This is our chance," Holmes declared. "All available units converge on the enemy flagship. Fire everything we've got." The ESS Trident led the charge, flanked by a squadron of star submarines. They unleashed a devastating volley of shield breaker pulses, followed immediately by a salvo of enhanced nuclear warheads. The Talarian flagship's defenses crumbled under the onslaught, its hull breached in multiple places, secondary explosions rippling along its length. In a final, cataclysmic blast, the massive ship disintegrated, taking the heart of the Talarian command structure with it. A cheer went up across the human fleet as they witnessed the enemy flagship's destruction. But Admiral Holmes knew the battle was just getting started. "Press the advantage," he ordered. "Don't let them regroup." As Earth's forces redoubled their efforts, Major Martinez and his team completed their mission aboard the Talarian command ship. They fought their way back to their shuttle, leaving a sabotage reactor in their wake. "Detonation in 30 seconds, Martinez reported as they undocked. "Suggest all friendly units clear the area." The resulting explosion created a chain reaction, disabling several nearby Talarian vessels and further fracturing their command structure. In the ensuing chaos, a Talarian science vessel attempted to flee the battlefield. Martinez, his team still aboard their commandeered shuttle, moved to intercept. "Admiral," Martinez called over the comm, "we've got a runner. Permission to engage?" "Granted," Holmes replied, "but take it intact if you can. It might have valuable intelligence." Martinez's team executed a textbook boarding action, subduing the Talarian crew with minimal casualties. As they secured the ship, Corporal Reyes accessed the main computer core. "Sir, you're going to want to see this," Reyes called out, his voice filled with awe. "We've hit the jackpot." Martinez looked over Reyes's shoulder, his eyes widening as he scanned the data. "Get this to Admiral Holmes immediately. We've got the location of the Talarian homeworld, and a whole lot more." As the intelligence was relayed to the ESS Trident, Admiral Holmes began to formulate a bold new strategy. The opportunity to end the war decisively was now within reach. "All ships prepare for long-range strike operations," Holmes announced, his voice filled with persistence. "We're taking this fight to the enemy's doorstep." As the Star submarine fleet regrouped and prepared for their most daring mission yet, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Talarian Empire, its military might shattered in the Sol system, was facing widespread rebellion from its subjugated worlds. Admiral Holmes stood on the bridge of the ESS Trident, watching as a combined fleet of human, Zin, and Boral ships assembled around him. They were about to embark on a mission that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. As the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Holmes couldn't help but reflect on how far humanity had come. From a species on the brink of extinction to a force capable of challenging the greatest power in the known universe. "All ships prepare for hyperspace jump," Holmes ordered, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. "Our destination, the heart of the Talarian Empire." The massive fleet disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the battered Sol system behind. Hours later, they emerged in the Talarian home system. Admiral Holmes stood on the bridge of the ESS Trident, his eyes fixed on the swirling blue-green orb of Talaria Prime. Surrounding the planet was a dense network of orbital platforms, warships, and defense satellites, the last bastion of Talarian might. "All ships, battle stations," Holmes ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "Implement Operation Spearhead." The human-alien fleet spread out in a pre-planned formation. The ESS Trident surged forward, drawing the attention of the Talarian Home Guard. Alarms blared across the enemy fleet as they scrambled to respond to this audacious assault. Meanwhile, cloaked Star Submarines slipped silently through the defensive perimeter. Lieutenant Wong, at the helm of the ESS Barracuda, watched his sensor readings carefully. "We're in position, sir," he reported over the secure channel. Admiral Holmes nodded, his eyes never leaving the tactical display. "All submarines on my mark. Now!" Across the Talarian defensive line, dozens of Star Submarines simultaneously dropped their cloaks. Before the enemy could react, a devastating barrage of enhanced nuclear warheads erupted from their launch tubes. The night sky of Talaria Prime lit up as orbital platforms exploded in brilliant flashes of light. On the planet's surface, Major Jake Martinez and his team materialized in a secluded alleyway of the capital city. The Zin teleportation technology had worked flawlessly, bypassing the ground-based defenses entirely. "Move out," Martinez whispered, gesturing to his squad. They advanced through the streets, their stealth suits blending seamlessly with the shadows. In the distance, they could hear the panic as civilians reacted to the explosions in orbit. Back on the ESS Trident, Admiral Holmes received a priority transmission. Dr. Reed's face appeared on the main view screen, her expression intense. "Admiral, the Quantum Entanglement Network is online. You now have real-time strategic coordination with all Allied forces." Holmes allowed himself a small smile. "Excellent work, Doctor. This changes everything." With unprecedented battlefield awareness, Holmes directed the fleet with surgical precision. Star Submarines, their primary mission complete, now turned their attention to ground targets. Particle beam weapons lanced down from orbit, systematically neutralizing anti-aircraft emplacements and military bases. Zin collective ships engaged the remaining Talarian fleet, their crystalline hulls shimmering as they unleashed salvos of energy weapons. The Talarian ships, formidable in their own right, found themselves outmatched by the advanced alien technology. On the ground, Martinez's team fought their way through the streets of the Talarian capital. They encountered increasingly fierce resistance as they approached the High Council chambers. Talarian elite guards, resplendent in their ceremonial armor, poured fire into the human positions. "Push forward," Martinez shouted, tossing a plasma grenade into a group of enemies. The explosion cleared a path, and the team surged ahead. As they reached the entrance to the council chambers, Martinez's second-in-command, Sergeant Chen, took a hit to the shoulder. "I'm fine," Chen grunted, applying a quick seal bandage. "Let's finish this." The team breached the massive doors, only to find themselves face-to-face with the Talarian High Council itself. The alien leaders, their elongated heads adorned with intricate patterns, stood defiantly behind a phalanx of guards. "Surrender now," Martinez demanded, his weapon trained on the nearest counselor. The lead Talarian, his eyes burning with hatred, spat a reply in his native tongue. The guards opened fire, and the chamber erupted into chaos. In orbit, Admiral Holmes received an urgent communication from Earth. "Admiral," Dr. Reed's voice crackled over the comm, "we've detected a massive energy buildup in the Talarian capital. It matches the signature of a planet-killer device. Holmes's blood ran cold. Understood, Doctor. We'll handle it. He turned to his tactical officer. Get me Martinez now. As the ground team fought desperately in the council chambers, Martinez's comm crackled to life. Major, we have a situation, Holmes's voice came through. There's a doomsday device active in your vicinity. You need to locate and neutralize it immediately. Martinez ducked behind a fallen pillar, his mind racing. Understood, Admiral. We'll find it. With renewed urgency, the team redoubled their efforts. They fought room by room, securing the Talarian leaders one by one. Finally, they reached the inner sanctum, where they found a massive device humming with ominous energy. This is it, Martinez breathed, studying the alien technology. But how do we shut it down? Above the planet, Admiral Holmes coordinated a daring plan. All ships concentrate shieldbreaker pulses on these coordinates, he ordered, highlighting a section of the planetary defenses. The combined firepower of the fleet hammered against the Talarian shields. For agonizing seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a flicker of energy, a hole appeared in the defensive screen. Now, Holmes commanded. The ESS Trident led a squadron of star submarines on a steep descent into Talaria Prime's atmosphere. Buildings whipped by as they navigated the urban canyons of the alien capital, racing against time to reach the doomsday device. In the council chambers, Martinez and his team worked frantically to disable the device. We need more time, he reported, sweat beading on his forehead. The star submarines located the underground bunker, housing the device. With precision born of desperate necessity, they launched a salvo of enhanced nuclear warheads. The bunker's defenses crumbled under the assault. As the last layers of protection fell away, Martinez saw his chance. He jammed his combat knife into a crucial junction of the alien machine, disrupting its energy flow. With a whine of protest, the doomsday device powered down. A cheer went up from the human forces as news of the device's deactivation spread. In the council chambers, the fight went out of the Talarian leaders. They lowered their weapons, finally accepting the inevitability of defeat. Admiral Holmes, his voice thick with emotion, broadcast across all frequencies. Attention, Talarian forces! Your leaders have surrendered. The war is over. As the echoes of battle faded, a new chapter in galactic history began to unfold. The human-led coalition had achieved what many thought impossible, the defeat of the mighty Talarian Empire. But the real work of building a lasting peace was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.